Do you still remind yourself when you wake up in the morning? Or you remind yourself of anxiety, duality, and a conflict and what happened yesterday? Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karva Vahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahe. You see, every statement makes a sense. May all be blessed if you are doing it. So let me continue my journey of this self-discovery. Nourishment. Nourish each other means that we should find that wisdom early in the morning so that it continues throughout the day. And with the teacher, there should be an active participation. You all have started participating intellectually, and that is wonderful. And Tejasvinavadhitamastu, may our intellect shine with the wisdom. Why shine with the wisdom? To get rid of the ignorance. And we should not have any envy and the jealousy against each other. You see that people are talking, people come to your house, even your friend, and you miss this point that after all, he is my friend. Whatever he says, that is his perception. I will not have any. But only when you repeat this regularly, then only that attitude comes. Otherwise, that attitude cannot reflect in your personality. What people feel and think about you is totally different. What you think about yourself is totally different. Are you getting it? Recently, last week, I made it a title, and I have to write an article. Viveka applied after 40 years, even after knowing it. Viveka applied after 40 years after knowing it. Knowing it? Oh, I have an intellectual understanding. I have studied. I know what is this, Viveka. I know. I understand. But I have a big ego, so I don't apply the Viveka. So remember this. Viveka is not just an ego is not just an arrogance. This friend of mine, I told you the story before. He had 28 criteria to choose his soul mate, and she left and she thrown him out of the house. I told you long before. So recently he had a heart attack. His wife called me and I gave him the mantra. I said, let him chant this mantra. What can I say? It's not a point to grieve. It's a point to help him stand up. So he had too much of anxiety. He's in India. So then he returned from the hospital, from the intensive care, and he said, what should I do the practice? I'm not getting a sleep. I gave him the simplest practice that I normally give for the first time. That is the 4-step and 6-step relaxation practice, which is basically meant for the kids. But still, now this guy who understands, who claims that I understand all these principles, he has studied all these texts, even though he is an engineer, an IT expert. So I am saying Viveka applied after 40 years. 40 years, a long relationship I have. We studied together. We were from the kindergarten to undergraduate. So he said, this is such a simple practice. Can you give me a bigger practice? I insisted, no. It's a 10-15 minutes of the practice, and you complete it, you repeat it. You repeat it. You don't get a sleep, you repeat it. You repeat it. First time after 40 years. He repeated that 4 and 6 step of relaxation practice 6 times. He had a good sleep, first day, second day, third day, and then he thanked me. He should have thanked me 40 years ago. Why I'm saying this, understand this. Our one part of the mind that is full of ego, oh, I understand, I have done the practice. No, it will not work. It will not work. I have to continue the practice. I have to contemplate daily. I have to reflect daily. No, but I'm so busy. I have to take my kids to the school. Then I have a job. Find the time. That is also the Viveka. That is also the discernment that you find the time to do the practice. Our Viveka applied 40 years, after 40 years. And he told me I should have done this much before. I treated you as my friend. And I said, what you are saying is okay, but you are my friend, so I have taken it lightly. And that is why the heart attack has taken you heavily. I told him openly because we have been together 40 years. So you have to guard your mind against this ignorance. That ignorance forces you to admit that I know, I understand, and still I have a problem. Are you getting it? Still I have a problem. It means you did not apply the Viveka in your life. And that is not going to work. So majority of the people, they leave the session, in 1 or 2 sessions. So when I should bring an end to applying the Viveka should be applied throughout the life. You don't ask me how long I have to breathe. Do you ask me how long I have to breathe? You don't ask. That Viveka is the breath of the spirituality. Breath of the spirituality. Remember this. If you don't apply the Viveka, if you don't understand, digest and assimilate, you don't apply in your daily life, then the ignorance will seep into your life from anywhere. And then you will realize after 10, 15 years, I should have applied this much before the way he applied it after 40 years. Such a simple practice plus Viveka, it becomes the most powerful practice. You meet your friend, and friend says something nasty. Viveka is applied. You endure it. You move. It takes a fraction of a second. Not only in your outer life, but also our internal life. But come back, we have twofold goals. That is, every master says, one goal, bring an end to the suffering. Why? The suffering is there due to the ignorance, limitedness. What is this ignorance and limitedness? I'm the body-mind complex. Then I find that First, I recognize that I'm body and mind, then I recognize I'm husband, son, wife, daughter, rich, poor, black, white, gender, etc., etc. You see? And then I create around me. I create a world around me that causes the endless suffering, comparison, likes and dislikes, and all those foolishness. So, what message it gives to all of us? We do not know who we are. Ultimate message is that I don't know who am I. I have a problem as a husband. I have a problem as a director. I have a problem as a son. I have a problem as a father. You see that? But the father exists or the man exists before. Viveka. I have to apply to Viveka. I told you. So we get dictated by the wrong notion and we enter into the delusion and duality. So the first goal is to bring an end to the suffering, ease down the mind, calm down the mind. Don't wait for 40 years. So don't wait for 40 years. You have to apply here and now. Second goal is awakening to the real self. When I remove the dust, then only I can see who am I. So both goes together. Opposite of that, the first group, which I explained to you, the world is suffering. So I have to contemplate again and again and again and again. I'm your husband. That is why, you are dictating over me. Otherwise, I have to recognize I'm not a husband. I'm something deeper. And then I talk to the person. It will come back again and again. Ignorance will chase us because we are born out of the ignorance since our birth. What is the remedy? The remedy is the satsang. Greatest remedy is the satsang, knowledge of the self. So what the satsang gives you? Knowledge of the self. We focus, we don't waste our time. Moment we join, we start our journey. Whether you join late or early, it does not make any difference. We start the journey. Remedy is the satsang. So there are two parts of the satsang. One is the external part, external factor, and the other is the internal factor. Where is the external factor? I inspire you, I motivate you as a teacher. Please listen and learn, be regular, contemplate and reflect, and practice. This is the external. And you continue the journey, continue. What is the internal? That is what happened. He learned, Viveka applied after 40 years. He did not care what is internal. That is how I create a topic. And I combine in sharing the experiences. Oh, so what is the internal? As you listen to the satsang, you contemplate and reflect, and you do the practice, something inside your mind takes place. What? Detachment. Detachment takes you to dispassion. Dispassion takes you to the natural steadiness of the mind. Natural steadiness of the mind takes you to the calmness and peace. And when you continue the journey, it results into an awakening. You see the two goals, bringing an end to the suffering and awakening. So, seed does not become a tree overnight. Knowledge is realized like a seed becoming a tree. It takes time. But my ego says, I understand what you said. This guy, this dear friend of mine, says, I know what you say. You are my friend. I just want to gossip with you. Gossip about Viveka? What you are talking about? It's not gossip. It's urgent. I have to apply Viveka from today and from here and now. Do you have time for 10 minutes to talk? Yes, yes. How are you? Now, 40 years ago, we were in the school. I said, we all know what to talk about it. When I say, please do some practice. No, why should I do that? I understand you. Very subtle ego that prevents us to realize the truth. Think, think. I'm not saying that we are progressing, so it's very important to. And you see, the nature puts, the existence puts those events together at the time when it is required. So this story is very much required now. So I told you the satsang. So I told you the external and the internal factor. When you do it, then because the internal changes taking place, so realization is taking place. I know now there are two I. One is the false I that causes my suffering and stress and duality, conflict and delusion. As someone, Brandy perhaps. Brandy shared her experiences. No, I have yet to reach to that state yet. That is a point of humility. No, it does not. Don't think that. It does not mean that you are not. You all are not humble. You all are humble. So don't start thinking. That is another part of ignorance. So that is also ego. So the two I start recognizing. This is the false I is causing me the delusion, and the real I always lives into the peace. Oh, so your perception starts changing. Perception. Your perception changes because ignorance is replaced by knowledge. Now, what happened after 40 years? Understand this. This is also a very important point. Many masters have explained it at length. You see, each and every aspect, they are greater than Harvard professors. They realize that how to explain this concept that this, he applied the Viveka after 40 years. So Master says that you resort to meditation practice due to emergency. You have a lot of stress and anxiety and you say, okay, let me do the practice. So you minimize and manage your anxiety. Today and tomorrow, again you create the same situation. Are you getting? Viveka has to be applied all the time. So that is what he did. But even though nature created such an emergency, that he followed the advice that you have to do the practice regularly. It alarmed, the mind alarmed him otherwise. And you'll be surprised, his son is wonderful. He was going to a psychiatrist to take the pills, and his son advised him, no, you talk to uncle. In India, we refer our close relations as uncle. No, you have to talk to uncle. He will guide you. Don't go there. So it is, I'm not important. Nature designs that way. Viveka picks it up. If you live in the discernment, it will pick you up. You will be able to pick those insight. That is what is known as the insight and the intuition. Okay, this is what happened. So my friend told me, my son told me that no, you have to talk to uncle. He'll guide. So when you live in that state of Viveka, you realize, this is so That changes your perception and you get the result. Perception changes because ignorance is replaced by knowledge. That knowledge changes by discernment, leads to dispassion. It is so simple. It is so simple. We understand it. I have been telling you that we understand it. I've been repeating it again. We understand it, but we don't apply. We can give a good talk on discernment, but we don't apply it. You have to apply in your daily life. It is so simple. Take one example. Another example. When the near and the dear one dies, we grieve. Oh, it's natural. No, we will talk whether it's natural or unnatural later. When thousands die due to the earthquake, war, suicide, and genocide, we feel a little bit emotional but not affected. We don't grieve. What is common factor? In both the cases, the death took place. We need a discernment. Let us take it a lighter note. I am in the house. Are you also in the house? Say yes. You all are in the house. Or you can say specifically you are sitting in a room listening to me. Right? You are sitting inside the room listening to me. Am I right? Say yes. You know 100% that room is not you. Clear? Are you treating like us kindergarten kids? No, no, no. Let me make another statement. I know that I am inside the body. How many of you know, realize, experience that you are not the body? You know you are not the room? You know you are not the house? How many of you know I'm not the body? You see? That is where the problem comes. That is where we find the ignorance and the delusion. Why? Because emotionally I am attached, dependent on the body, and then I'm also dependent on the house. I'm also dependent on the car. I'm dependent on the food, and still I recognize they are separate and different from me. How many of you remember that I'm separate and different from the body all the time? You live into that awareness. This is such a simple thing. Such a simple but profound impact in my life. So perception with deception created by the mind is a delusion. I am, no, I know, I'm not the car, I'm not the house, I'm okay. I'm not the body also, because I am in the body. We all say, I'm inside the body. All religions say soul is inside the body. Is it not? Everyone says. What we are doing, we have expanded that. We want you to understand it. Look this. Such a simple thing. You want to go ahead? Oh, I have a headache. I am not the body, remember. I have a headache, that is why I'm not attending your session. Okay, I understand. You are right. God gave you a headache every day. Do you see that? So that you say bye-bye to the Eastern wisdom. Perception with deception creates the ignorance, creates the delusion, And that prevents you. There I need an endurance. My friend, I need an endurance. I need an endurance. Think. You might be thinking, how I'm not stretching, but I'm making a point, different aspects of the discernment, how to understand it clearly, where I went wrong, where I go wrong, where I miss this discernment. Vivekin Vishuddhena Chittena Parishyati. Paripashyati. With a mind purified by the discernment, one perceives without deception. What is that? What I perceive? Knowing the body and the embodied. One is free from the bondage and the living. What is this? Knowing the body and the embodied. Who embodied? Embodied is the real self. So I see the distinction. Viveka simply means separate. Distinction between the two things. Distinction between the body and the embodied real self. Embodied, I am and the house. Embodied, I am and the car. Embodied, I am and the husband. I can go on. Embodied, I am and the son and the daughter. Whosoever, what is your situation? So what happens? Oh, faucet is not working. Call the plumber. I have a headache, but I have to attend the session. I am not the headache. I recognize it. How many of you recognize it? It's there and then. Distinction between the body and the embodied self. By understanding that one is not the body but the owner of the body, we become the higher seeker. Getting it? Even though we have a couple of sessions on discernment, but every time you see that we go little subtler level and understand. This discernment is the key to unlock the door to self-discovery. It is required. By starting applying the Viveka in this manner, we can reach of doing the discernment between the real and the unreal. And that results into mindfulness as a non-practice. Simply saying, no, I understand. Like my friend, I understand. Why you start giving me a lecture, You are my friend. I'm talking to you. I just want to gossip with you. Okay, let us gossip. So I gave you 15 minutes. Every time, he talks to me, I said, no, I can give you only 15 minutes. I tell a lie to him that, after 15 minutes, I have a session. You can find the solution to live in Viveka at any time, in any situation. That lie is better than continue to gossip. Do you see that, my friend? So you see that once you understand this subtle aspect of the discernment, then we can do the dharma viveka. Dharma is literally translated as religion, but it has nothing to do with it. Dharma means that I have to separate between the right and the wrong actions, right and the wrong behavior, right and the wrong thought. That is what we say, the dharma viveka. So we have to pass through the dharma viveka, we have to pass through the Shreyas and the Preyas Viveka. We will talk in detail. Shreyas and the Preyas Viveka guides us to choose what is truly good over what is pleasant. And then we have a guide over Sadhya and the Sadhana. Go means that what is the goal of life and what is the means to achieve it. I want to be happy if I get $1 billion, but $1 billion. But dollar is a means to be happy. Dollar does not make me happiness. Dollar does not contain happiness. You see the distinction? Here comes the discernment. So the goal of life is happiness. Goal of life is happiness, but the happiness is not containing in the dollar, but I think. So I think creates a deception. It results into delusion. So simply I have to remove that delusional part and continue to earn. Who says don't earn? No, you don't understand, I have a lot of stress going to the job. So don't go for a job. That is not possible. You see, one after the other, we create a vicious circle of deception, of delusion in our life. Then the part and the whole. Ansha, we are going to understand these subtle aspects of the Viveka. Dukkha and Sukha, sorrow and the happiness. I like this food. I have been eating it every day, and then I have been overeating it. Even during the overeating, I enjoyed. I had a lot of pleasure, but the pain is hiding behind that pleasure because I've started overeating. I've been eating the same thing again and again, and now the body says, I will show you. Sugar is not a poison. But sugar, we declare that it is a poison and we have been taking it. For example, those who suffer from diabetes. My friend suffers from diabetes. So we have to understand. It's a Viveka we have to understand is clearly various aspects of the discernment. Dharma, discernment, Shreyas and Preyas discernment, Sadhya, goal and the means, part and the whole, sorrow and the happiness. When you live into that state of discernment, the pain escapes from your life. I can bet you. Suffering escapes from your life. That person is prepared and ready for awakening. Until then, we have to continue the practice. Close your eyes. Eyes are closed and steady place, position, posture, being comfortable. I have to simply say you all are seekers, being comfortable, being carefree. So your subtle intellect is put into the service inside. You see higher role of how the higher seeker does the practice. He invokes that subtle intellect with reference to the discernment. And what is the role of just a beginner? You see that he will start moving his neck all around. No, I'm becoming comfortable. Now you can realize the nature of the seeker. So being comfortable, being carefree, and now We don't forget the Mangalacharan. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. By repeating and doing the practice regularly, you tend to feel emotional. Mind becomes so much emotional because it gets attached to these Mangalacharan mantras. It is better to get attached to the Mangalacharan mantra, not to get attached to anything outside. So we shift our attachment from the word outside to the word inside. That is why Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu, may there be happiness for all. You have to contemplate and reflect maybe 2 or 3 sentences to yourself, my friend. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu, Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. May there be peace for all. 2 or 3 sentences of contemplation. You think, may there be peace for all. I have explained you, I believe, more than 50 different ways. Pick up only one if you remember. If you don't remember, you have to go back. Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu, Sarvesham, may there be completeness, wholeness, holiness in all. You see, you are discerning whole, only one is whole, that is the real self. Body is made up of parts. You see part in the whole? Same thing with the mind, intellect, breath. How the discernment goes inside our head and then it manifests into totally a perception full of peace and happiness and calmness. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. May there be auspiciousness for all. I have to remind, recall, recognize, recall. That was the 4th group. So all the 4 groups are applied here, and much more than that, we look at inside the forehead. You see, we are doing both pranayama and pratyahara together. So looking deep inside the forehead in the space, Om Shanti in the space. By default, we are aware stillness in the body and start breathing into the rib cage, gentle, quick, and short breath. Recheck, you're dropping Om Shanti. Body is still. You are breathing into the rib cage, gentle. You are not fighting with the breath. Did you understand? You're not fighting with the breath. It is you are doing for your own sake. Mechanical and habitual practice will not work. Continue in short and quick, gentle breath into the rib cage. So you see, intellect is fully aware of expansion and contraction of the rib cage. Om Shanti inside the space. You're aware of the space inside the forehead, steadiness in the body. Continue. Endurance, you remember, mind will oppose on a given day because of the past impression trying to manifest early in the morning or now at this moment when you're doing the practice. So you are prepared for it. We say, who cares? I have a tool of endurance. I will not leave. Continue. Continue. And stop this. Do nothing. Pay attention to the flow of the breath through both the nostrils and continue to be there and see. Can you extend the period of your attention on the breath? We're not changing the rate and the rhythm of the breath at this moment. Many people talk about mindfulness, just pay attention. We are already doing that's a part of the entire practice. It's a part, it's not the whole. Now you start breathing both through the belly and the chest. Continue with Om Shanti deep inside the forehead in the state of stillness in the body. You feel the expansion of the belly and the rib cage. You feel the contraction of the belly and the rib cage. We have to progress and perfect this breathing also. It has a tremendous impact on the mind and the nervous system. It takes our awareness to a different level. So we'll pay more attention to this breathing in our following sessions. Continue. Long, deep in the hissing breath, your mind will object to it and counter that objection by endurance. Where lives the endurance? In the intellect. I have to make a choice. Now leave this breath. Pay attention again to the flow of the breath, the way the breath returns to its original pattern. And then you see, you're watching, you're feeling and observing how the breath is going inside and outside the body. Why we want mind to enter into the state of passivity to see if the purity of the mind is there so that we can move ahead. And now, 16 segments of fingers, you're dropping Om Shanti to check if all the sense organs are living within the mind. It's not going outside. So, it's the mind's eye looks at the first segment. It's the mind. Tongue says Om Shanti. It's the mind ear that hears Om Shanti. It's the mind's skin that touches. So when these senses go together, they gather the prana, and that is why we experience that energy feeling. We all talk about the Reiki, but how come that energy is there? We don't understand it, and that creates a problem. Continue. Continue. Om Shanti. Whether you are doing it mentally, you are doing it for a longer Om Shanti, that is also okay. Om Shanti, you are dropping it, but you are fully aware, that is also okay. It doesn't depend, it depends on your mental attitude at this moment. That is more important. You go with that. Now, looking deep inside the cave of your heart, equilateral triangle of any color pointing upward, dropping Om Shanti on each side of a triangle, moving the mind clockwise and anti-clockwise. And just see if you're able to sync. Sync means the movement. Sync means the movement of the mind, awareness of the side of a triangle, and Om Shanti. The moment you find a sync all going together, clockwise, anti-clockwise, at that moment, singing mentally, pushing the mind inside. You have separated the mind. Pushing the mind inside with deep inside the cave of your heart. You will discover mind seemingly stops. There you say Shanti, and after that you do nothing. You're just aware. Knowing state is there. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bring your awareness on the right hand, your awareness on the left hand. Lift your Buddha palms, place it on your eyes. Open the eyes inside the palms, know your experiences. Bring the hands down, we'll share our experiences now. How are you, David and Jerry?
Thank you, sir. For me, the lesson made me realize the importance of eliminating subtle ego in life, and it shows up in different areas. And by doing so, we get to humility state, kind of like where what has been talked about in the past. So for me, it was very humbling, I guess I would say, the practice, and very deep. So thank you. Lots to think about and contemplate.
Beautiful. You have recognized that subtle ego. Do you see that? This guy, friend of mine, he otherwise outside he is very humble, easygoing. At this time, he did not remember me to give him the practice. He remembered the psychiatrist. That is his subtle ego. And there he lacks the discernment. But somehow existence takes care of everyone. His son reminded him. This is what happens. Solution is here and now. But we forget it. And that's why the continuity. How are you, Jerry?
Sir, I'm good, thank you. Yeah, like your friends, sometimes we want a quick fix.
Yeah.
I think, and so yeah. For me, I had an experience a practical experience. So, and it always takes me back to how powerful the pain, the sensation of pain or struggle or difficulty is such an amazing teacher for us, because instantly when we have a sensation of pain, for me, I first went to, okay, I'm not the pain, but I'm aware of the pain. And then I went to Mangalacharya to see if I could just really separate from the pain. And yes, I could endure, but then I also realized, well, I'm conscious, I'm conscious, I have an intellect. What can I do about the pain? Is there anything I can do about the pain? And so then, assessing it and having some relief in and the ability of where I have to accept and then what I have to change. So there's part that I can change and part that I have to accept, and then there's this freedom.
Beautiful.
But there's this application, and so we constantly have to look at it, I think.
Yes. You have explained the discernment between the sorrow and the pain or the pleasure, pain and the pleasure, and also the part and the whole, and changing and the unchanging. So there is always a discernment. If it works, it should work first in case of any challenges in our life, as you said, and then yes, if I have a cut and the blood is coming out, first I should have a discernment and then let me go to the doctor. It is not that we are not saying don't go to the doctor, because he can only stop the bleeding. Discernment is not going to stop the bleeding. We have to be very, very wise. And the wisdom comes when we choose the intellect. When you choose the mind, then it will not. Mind is impulsive. Mind gets attached to the discernment. Oh, you told me that there is a discernment, so why should I go to the doctor? No, you are crazy then. Doctor means the knowledge of the body. Simple. Here we are talking of the knowledge of the real self. Rightly said. Beautiful. Thank you. How are you, Brandy?
Good, thank you. I agree with David, Andrew. There's a lot to think about here because I do wake up in the morning and realize I'm separate until something happens in the day, right? Yeah. And the more extreme it is, the more like
more suffering begins.
Discernment. Yeah, so and
yes. You see, recognizing that is very important. So again, we say, because identification with the body, with the mind, with a particular thought of deception is also the subtle ego. So we have a different definition of the ego because identification is there. We are not talking of arrogance, that lives, hardly for a few seconds. So our sense of recognizing that ego comes with the identification. It has to do with the ignorance. It has to do with the delusion. So you rightly said, we wake up in the morning, we do the Mangalacharan, and you are under a shower, you forget it. You're talking to someone, you forget it. What should I do with this constipation? You forget it. That is why the continuity is required. How are you, Dennis?
Thank you. I'm fine. The talk triggered something that I recalled today. That whenever my mind says something about myself, like I like, I need, I want, I have, or whenever someone just mentions this word I, then instantly something pops up. Another thought pops up in my mind that who is this I? And from there, the contemplation starts, whether these thoughts are valid or not.
Beautiful.
So this is probably one of the examples of discernment that that you talk about and that you mentioned. And as far as the practice, it was very calm and very peaceful, and at the end, very comfortable, vast space. Was very difficult to come back to this life.
Beautiful. That is what is the result of the contemplation. And you pointed out very beautifully, the moment I use the word I, am I the speaker? And instantly the discernment says no. It is the body, mind, intellect, ego, and the knowledge together is the speaker. Oh, let the speaker speak. And the real I is sitting behind. So we will understand this clearly as we progress, that how we are not discarding this. As long as we live in this world, this false I is required. But now it is not the real I. That brings an end to the suffering. I'm not the part of the suffering. That is where we are heading to. Beautiful. Thank you for everyone sharing this. How are you, Samir?
Sir, practice was very good. I felt there was peace all over my body, mind, and nowadays the day is passing very peacefully.
Good.
It is becoming very difficult to go in anxiety. If some thoughts come, they drop on their own.
Beautiful.
And if I think of going in anxiety, I don't feel like going in anxiety.
Yeah, rightly said. It's a big statement. It is difficult to go into anxiety and reaction. That is beautiful. That indicates the separation between the two I. Who is this I? As the Dennis says, as David and everyone shared this. Yes, that is the change. We change in perception. Now I talked about it, perception without deception and delusion. That awareness helps us to deepen the practice. How are you, Kristen?
Thank you. Today's breathing practice felt effortless.
Good.
And since Monday, I've been looking around everywhere and naming what I'm not, and just realizing I can even identify with fixtures in my house.
Yeah.
And to be able to say I am not has felt really freeing.
Yeah.
Down to, my children and the pen that I'm using.
Yeah.
So I'm noticing that.
Yeah, because the entire world is not mine. The world belongs to the world. Sun belongs to the sun. Daughter belongs to the daughter. Pen belongs to the pen. If it belongs to me, it will chase me to the cremation ground. Nothing chases me to the cremation ground. The house is left, the son is left, the daughter, everyone is left. Can I have a sense of freedom? You rightly said. That brings the sense of the freedom. You see, sharing the experiences gives you a different perspective of the same talk, of the same principle. Note them down, absorb into your life, and you see how the life becomes so beautiful. How are you, Vaibhav? It's not, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Sir, I'm calm. Sometimes it takes more time to mind to get settled than other days. So just keeping my patience and then discerning that and just working out the day.
Beautiful. That is what we learn from the teacher. If you are continuing the journey, that is how you learn. Sometimes you learn, oh, the patience is required. Today I did not succeed. Let me do it again. No, let me follow it again. Let me go back and see what happened. And that is the part of the intellect. And once you awaken to the intellect and you do it, yes, that is why you said, sometime it takes a long time. Beautiful. How are you, Terry, my friend?
There was so much chatter in the mind during the breathing.
Okay.
And even though it was about the practice, still was very frustrating.
Was there another chatter also in the mind of Om Shanti?
I would continue. I would be on one, then I would forget the Om Shanti. Then I would remember it.
That's
then
okay.
I would be thinking about it. Why did you forget it in the first place? What a nonsense. And, that's what I mean, really.
Who is nonsense?
Well, I was thinking, the mind was telling me all these things instead of just doing it.
So you are.
I was doing it and thinking about doing it.
Yes, that's okay. That's okay. No worries. You remember Om Shanti, then you have a chatter. You remember the Om Shanti. At least there is a recognition that this chatter doesn't belong to me.
Yeah, and the frustration. I was frustrated, and even though I know Okay, I don't have to be attached to that either. Kind of like what Girish said about pain.
That is what.
It's still pain, isn't you get, you don't like it. And then you think, oh, that's a like and a dislike. That's a strong dislike. So I'm thinking, like a crazy person.
Yes.
So I think I had a crazy mind.
Everyone has a crazy mind.
But it was working very hard.
Yeah. It's a beautiful. You are narrating the experiences which everyone undergoes through. Not only you. Everyone has to go through the same thing. But gradually I recognize a bit. I did Om Shanti, so there is a recognition. Then the chatter begins. Frustration. And again I remember the Om Shanti. So when I drop the Om Shanti, that frustration is gone. So what happens to the mind, because mind is so much habitual, instinctive and impulsive, it picks up that I'm totally frustrated. No, you succeeded because you recognized Om Shanti during the practice. It may take little more time. That's a different thing. So people don't recognize this. Not like my friend who did not remember me. He got the reminder from his son. Very good. That is all for today. Thank you very much. We'll meet again.
Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.